up, guys? Tambo here with your Week 5 core report. Coming off a huge Week 4 where our guy Hoop shipped for $1 million, Week 5 was yet another busy one with our experts and members shipping left and right. Last Monday, RPS was all over the leaderboard, chopping the big Monday Night Football DraftKings Showdown contest. AP, Hoop, Statlers, Adam GQ6, and BX Boom all shipped the first place prize for $5,900 each. Humacom also hit that night, chopping first in several contests for $8,700. Later on in the week, Uncle T continued his heater, shipping for $11K in MLB. JT Hayes also hit for $20K in MLB. But our biggest hits came on the Sunday Week 5 main slate, where Big T continued his heater, hitting on his FanDuel core. Tony's core featured Josh Allen, Jeff Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Khalil Shakir, and Pat Freiermuth. By taking the discount with Shakir and going cheap at running back, Tony was able to round out his lineup, adding Gabe Davis for the double stack, as well as Raheem Mostert and the Patriots D, shipping Big T over $128,000 for the weekend. The Tone Dog was not alone, as our members rode that core to some big hits as well. C. Tangretti turned $21 into $1,800. DFS Dad hit for $8,800. Drew C.A. won $7,500. Jamie Walsh hit big for $20K. J-Dub 115 joined in with a $21,000 hit, and Kevin Barnhill shipped over $90,000. To top it off, our guy Swint parlayed a $333 ticket given away by Hoop on our live Sunday NFL show into $3,500. And the winning didn't stop there. Kay Fallick joined our free live Sunday Night Football Showdown show to lay out his strategy for the Bengals-Ravens game.
It is kicker season. We got the two best kickers in the league.
Thank you. Let's go, Kevin.
Get your 3 field goals from McPherson. Get your 2 field goals from Tucker, vice versa. Take your 10 points and go home.
Again, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, get it done now. It's easy to do and can actually help you learn how to win. Kay Fallick also called his shot in our premium Discord and used his member-provided game plan to ship $68,000. Our NFL content has been on fire all season, especially our Showdown stuff. I myself use my main core for my attack plan on Monday Night Football to cap off a week of winning at RPS with a King of the Beach ticket. Sign up for a Run Pure Sports membership today and get in on the fun. You have nothing to lose by trying us out. Remember, you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
It's the Old Guys Pod. It's Uncle T. It's Spread a Stare and possibly G Rising coming on. We do have some breaking news for you, even though you're listening to the show a full day later. Uncle T, what is the breaking news on G Rising?
Yeah, first off, welcome. Good to be back with my two guys here. I enjoy this, and good to see you two guys. Yeah, he's in the 8th frame at the local bowling alley, I guess, up in Detroit with his league. I'm not sure. He didn't mention whether or not he had a 300 game going or not, but he said he'll try to make it on for the last half of the show. So maybe we'll get a guest appearance by G Rising later on in the show.
Very good. I hope he gets here. That would be wonderful. Spread a stare. As I always ask you, have you murdered anyone this week?
No, I haven't been hiking since the last time you asked me 2 hours ago, Holden, but I'll try and get 2 murders in on the next hike just to make up for
it. You just incriminated yourself, you son of a bitch. How are you, Spread?
You know, one time when I was out there, I did see a guy that was out hunting, and it's weird because the trail I go on is really recreational. Mainly bikers, some hikers, occasionally the horseback rider. But there's a guy just walking around with the shotgun like, have you seen a turkey? And I actually saw him that day. I was like, yeah, he's a couple miles down there. Yes, but the hunters threw me off. Now, I'm sure out in Colorado and where you guys are at, the hunting's a lot more common, right?
I don't mess with it, so I don't know.
You're a hunter?
I don't know anyone. I went to a restaurant here. First time I was ever here, I was I think it was the 07 World Series. I was covering it. And they brought us to a place. I think it's called Elkhorn. I'm not sure. But this place, you know, this is supposed to represent Denver. So there's just all sorts of animal heads on there. There's like giraffes and fucking zebras.
Where is this? Is this Casa Bonita?
No. Casa Bonita is the south part. But this place is supposed to be the Denver destination. It's horrible. There's all sorts so I had some musk ox, I think. had some elk, and all of that tastes like shit. I just want a steak. Yeah, I was just like, can I have a steak? Do you have a cow steak? They're like, well, we have venison. I'm like, you have nothing. You don't have any ground good. I tried it. It was very gamey. It's not my thing. I don't like wild animals. Like I like my shit to throw it on a farm, kill it, and serve it up. Uncle T, where are you standing on all this exotic meat? Lizard, sharks, ox.
Yeah, you guys lost me from the first second you started talking about this topic. I'm not exactly the outdoorsman. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, you guys got me lost. Yeah, I can't really add a whole lot to this conversation, to be quite honest.
Have you eaten it though? Have you eaten like weird meat before?
I'm not sure.
You're not even sure. Well, the chances are if you ate McDonald's in the late 70s, you ate kangaroo. Do you remember that scandal? There was the McDonald's kangaroo scandal. They used kangaroo meat.
I don't, but I'll take your word for it.
Please do.
How is that cheaper?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the late 70s kangaroo trade.
Oh, well.
I mean,
by next week, we'll figure that out.
I can't compare them to livestock prices, my friend. But yeah, hopefully we will figure that out someday, right? Uncle T, you've only been watching sports, correct? That's all you watch.
I mean, yeah.
So what have you been watching? What's on the TV the last few days? Is it NFL? Is it baseball? Is it both? Is it softball? Talk to us.
Yeah, no softball for me, Holden. I kind of have a line that's pretty far down there, but softball is not on it. So, no, again, it was a busy day today. Had the regular job and then watched you guys throughout the day like I always do at work, and came home. We got the 2-game playbook and cores up. We got the individual playbooks for the baseball up. Yeah, it's a fun time. You know, like you guys said, Spread, you guys have been gearing up for the NBA next Tuesday, I think it is. And it's gonna be crazy at Run Pure Sports. If you're not literally a member right now, it's a great time to come in because we've got, you know, we're finishing up and crushing the MLB, and then again we got NFL, and then now NBA. It's a fun time. I'm really looking forward to the NBA. I don't follow it obviously as closely as you guys do, but looking forward to it. But no, a lot of stuff going on, Holding, a lot of money to be made. So
yeah, this is a good thing I came back last week. We're about to set a viewership record of 1,800. So I'm pretty excited about that. Who knows what the podcast numbers are, but Uncle T, Spread, I was looking at the comments of last week's show. It's not every time I do it, but I wanted to see if anybody had anything to say about the spliced show that we did, because the Zoom thing it was too full. The show just stopped in the middle. We couldn't save it. All right. So let me read some of the comments that were here. Daniel Kimball says, I'm a 42-year-old, by far my favorite pod here. LOL. That's right. That's right. People that are old. Speaking of which, do you guys remember Star 69?
Yeah. That's how you find out who's calling you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And it would like immediately dial them back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then what was Star 67?
I don't know. I only did Star 69.
You could block people too. I don't remember how you.
Oh, could you?
Yeah, you had to star something to block people on the phone.
I thought that was blocking the number for a call waiting. I mean, for call. So
I don't know
what you're on.
There was a whole bunch of crazy tricks on landlines back in the day. Uncle T, on your landline, can you still do that stuff?
I don't have a landline. I haven't had a landline in 10 years, but my mom still has one of the original rotary phones. I know that.
Yeah, I have one of those like somewhere in a closet. I saved my parents' rotary phone from when I was little.
I showed my kids one time when we were out there a while back. It's actually been a couple years now. I showed them and they're like, what the hell is this? I said, this is how we had to make a call out. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, well, no, I'm kidding. You know, like they had no idea. It was.
Wait till they see an encyclopedia.
Oh
God. I got to find that phone, Uncle T. I bet you they were like, that's crazy. It takes you 4 seconds to like find somebody's number.
They had a nice rhythm though, right? If it was 3, it was like 3.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. Yeah. 3. But my number when we had a rotary phone was 9896070. So I was screwed. I had all of them. But you didn't have to do the area code back then.
No, you remember trying to.
Well, you did if we're going long distance.
Yeah, long distance you did. But
you just weren't allowed to call long distance, Holden. I mean, do you remember answering the phone? It's long distance. Like, Mom, get in here right now.
Do you want to accept the call? Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do you want to accept the call?
You want to accept the charges? Yeah. Sometimes I just screw around with whoever it was. I'm like, no, absolutely not. They hung up.
Collect call.
How about trying to get a hold of the girlfriend back in the day, right? When you're, courting the ladies, I'm not sure if you were in that mode back in the day, but I was. And, you get the busy signal, and then you'd have to go through, like Spread said, you have to go through all the numbers, and you get so fired. Then you finally get through, and then you'd worry about mom and dad picking up on the other end in the other room, listening to your conversation.
I mean,
you always want mom to pick up.
Yeah,
that was just a disaster.
Yes. Why were you using rotary phones to call girls? Like, you're not that much older than me, Uncle T.
What were you using, Holden?
Just the regular phone.
We must have started young then.
I think the mobile one.
Yeah, Spread and I are on the same page here.
The mobile landline.
I was using it. Yeah.
Well, Holden, in fairness, Spread and I were probably courting the ladies well before you. You probably didn't start to like them. So you got to take that into consideration.
At least he made up for lost time once he became famous.
Correct. Those were the good old days. Other comments that were in here. Relevant. This from Sam Schaefer. Relevant content starts at the 30-minute mark.
That was early then.
It was actually like 35 minutes in, and I set the files. But in all seriousness,
well, he's awesome. He's a trooper for doing that for the people.
I need to. All right. I'm going to try and do that. YB 2832. That's what he says. He writes exactly down what time. That is great. Thank you so much, guys. If you're watching this pod, if you have the first comment or second, can you please post when we do it? Just do our job. What was this one? Adam Young, Jesus Christ, 30 minutes in and haven't mentioned a single game yet.
Oh. Holden, do you remember back? You probably don't. One of the first couple episodes we did of this a couple years back, it was right during the pandemic, right? When we were kind of doing this. Yeah. And I'd never forget the next day I went to lunch with BigT, and we're sitting there bullshitting about, how'd the podcast go and such, right? And I told him, obviously, I crushed it and you struggled. But besides that, we were talking about how much bullshit we do back and forth and the banter and this and that. And I said, maybe we should, he listened to, oh, you guys did great. It was perfect. I said, then we have too much, bullshit back and forth. He's like, absolutely not. He said, people love that shit. He said, for the one or two people that don't like it, don't worry about it. So we got approval way back from the boss, and he's liked it ever since. So,
well, I mean, there's already 3 people in this chat that said they were frustrated. So it's more than 1 or 2, but you know what?
Could be a vocal minority.
They can find it. Oh, how about this one? Wow, bro is in another orbit right now. Johnny Two Bets. Pretty sure he was talking.
Holden, you're pretty lit tonight, but by Wishbone Pod standards, you are like on it tonight.
Man, I was so ready to sit at home and watch baseball all day, but the damn rain delay.
You can still do that, right?
Oh, hey, Spread. Give him about 15 or 20 minutes, though. You might have a different.
No, that's not true.
Did you eat or did you smoke?
My girl's coming over.
What does that mean?
Good night tonight.
Little workbench time tonight for Holden.
Freaky.
Let's go.
So, there was one more. There was one more comment I wanted to get to.
Hopefully, it was a good one. We've got so far 1 good and 3 bad.
Perv Dean. We're obviously thinking very highly of this response. Perv Dean. Hi, Perv Dean.
It's not even like
the bald guy, just the worst case why Judge should win MVP. The guy doesn't know baseball at all. The analogy you just made is so moronic that it shows how little people in the industry actually know about sports. Otherwise, great show and always fun to listen to. Thanks. And I look forward to JT's response to this answer or comment next week. That's all I can say. I personally think JT is very knowledgeable at Major League Baseball. One of the most knowledgeable out there.
I agree.
Gentlemen, anything else we need to discuss?
Yes, we do. We need to discuss which AFC West team is more of an embarrassment. Mine or yours?
The Broncos.
Wow. Uncle T, Brett, what do you think? Who's worse?
Yeah. I think I got to go with the Broncos. I really do. Yeah. If we get them again on primetime, right? Sunday night or Monday night?
Monday night. Yeah. Monday night. Yeah.
But at least the Chargers play. So,
Yeah, I hope the Chargers just pound them. I want Hackett. What's the odds on him being the first one to be
second now?
The next head coach that's fired.
Yeah, second head coach fired.
I don't think he's getting fired this year.
God,
it's hard the first year, right? It's hard the first year.
Yeah, but you kind of know sometimes when these guys get jobs, you kind of know that they're just not either ready for it or they're just not cut out for it. Hackett might be ready for it sometime. He's just not ready for it right now.
Well, you see it all the time where these guys, either whether they come from college or good coordinators in the NFL, and then they get into that top seat, and it's a little bit different in that top seat as opposed to seat 2 and 3. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different. And, I don't know. But, yeah, I like the Chargers quite a bit in that game, actually. So
you like the Chargers quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'll tell you what. We think that things are improving as Las Vegas Raiders fans because this year our star wide receiver is only getting convicted of misdemeanor assault and not full-on murder. So
such bullshit.
Where things are going in the right direction.
Let me just say this then. The guy that is working post-game completely got Davante Adams' way. First of all, that is an absolute professional no-no in the business. And I know this for a fact. This man should not have been doing it. I've been down there before. You stay the fuck away from the athletes. That's the first thing you got to know. The second thing you got to know about this, yeah, Davante Adams pushed him. Not good. I bet you if he went back and he said, hey, can I help you up? I'm sorry. It would have been fine. The guy just lost an emotional game. This donkey walked right in front of him. I mean, they'll probably find Davante Adams.
He's probably suspended now
for a game. And I think that Kansas City or wherever the hell they're going to, where is it? Kansas City, right? They're probably going to fine him like $1,000. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I hope this guy is chastised. I really do. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not blaming. Well, I am kind of blaming the victim here if he is a victim at all. Davante Adams was just very, very frustrated. You walked in front of him. Keep your head up. Don't walk in front of the players. It's their field. It's not the cameraman's field. So it's a little bit frustrating, guys. By the way, did I ever tell you the time I got run over by Thurman Thomas? And I'm alive. I didn't sue Thurman Thomas. It's in the middle of the game and in the olden days.
What, was he chasing you after you took his helmet in the Super Bowl?
No. I was it was my first job. I was holding a battery pack for a cameraman because back in the old days, the cameras that you had to hold a battery so the cameras would work. Fucking guy comes in, cameraman gets out of the way. I just got steamrolled. I got trucked. It hurt really bad. Probably looking back at it, got a concussion, but finished the game. But you got to sue the guy. You were in the wrong place. You're on the field. You're in his arena. To press charges against the guy. What a pussy.
So Holden, I got a little quick story for you. I was going to maybe save this. You and I need to really do that inside the studio. Bring that show back and do it inside the studio. I'm ready to go whenever you're ready. But I used to put together, when they were here in town, the set for the NFL Network back in the day. So a friend of mine here locally knew somebody through the NFL Network. So any games that were here locally or like in Indianapolis, whereas it's not too far away from me, we used to go and put together the set, that they use for the game day and stuff. And the very first one I got, it was Baltimore and the Bengals. And Deion Sanders literally was like 5 feet from me the entire game. And I thought that was, again, this has probably been 20 years or so. I used to think that was the greatest thing. Like, man, it's freaking Deion Sanders. But that didn't go too well. Didn't do that anymore, Holden. But anyway, I know you're not interested.
What was the point of that story?
Well, you started talking about on the field stuff, and it got me thinking of the only times I was ever really on the field is when we were put together the game day set and stuff.
Hey, Uncle T, what are you doing in the year 2027?
Hopefully not here with you guys, but
That's my next opening.
Well,
for Inside
spread.
the
I don't mind
DFS
spread,
studio.
but hopefully I'm not here with you, Holden, in 5 years.
It's the next appointment I have for Inside the DFS studio for you. It's only 5 years.
Very
buddy.
hurtful. Wow, I was way at the top of the board.
It's only 5 years.
Well, I
man.
declined like 8 times, and
When
now
was
I
the
moved all
last
the way
time I
to
did
5
it?
years out.
I was asked to do the one with Allie. That's the last one I think I did.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up to you, but now screw you. I'm not doing it.
Screw you. Uncle T. I don't think we have barely gone, 20 minutes to this point without talking National Football League. Speak now. Well, I think I'm going to plug everything one time, and then we're going to get into it. Spread, first of all. Uncle T, if you are trying to clean up on the NBA streets, you might want to go over to the bet side. Spread and Tyler have done their videos on the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference in the NBA, their previews, right? Who do we got on? AP came on one of them. Tell us about it.
AP did both, and Kurt jumped on today.
For subscribers, right?
No, it was on the free channel.
Free? All right, even better.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Yeah. So no, we had AP on both days. We previewed the Eastern Conference yesterday and the Western Conference today. And we tried to really take some stands here on these teams and not just go right with the established number. And came out better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit tougher, but those guys came through. They gave me a lot of takes that I was really shocked on. So go check those out if you want a different way to approach that. And then, of course, Tyler and I, well, mostly Tyler, but I had a couple in there too that I really liked. Long shot bets that we like for season bets, for MVP, teams to win, best record at the All-Star break, all types of fun bets. So
How are the Nuggets?
if you like NBA content, go check it out.
How many games are the Nuggets going to win?
We both had them like low 50s. We had them over their win total.
Yeah, the win. Yeah.
So Tyler's not as high on them as AP was, but I kind of agree with AP. This is so rough, right? A lot of this is health, but you have to like their pickups. I think KCP is better than Will Barton. I really like what Denver did, so I think they're going to be pretty good here. Well, let's see how well Jamal Murray plays, and let's see if Porter Jr. can stay on the floor.
What was their win total spread?
49.
I'll have to double check. It's 49 or 50. It's been bet up.
49 and a half.
I think I'm going to be heading down to the local Barstool Sportsbook tomorrow night. I might place a couple wagers on your alls. I might tail you guys on a couple picks from the bet sheet. I love that.
Yeah.
Got a couple guests coming into town tomorrow, Holden.
Mangone.
Yep. You know who the other one is? Playing golf Friday.
He told us on the show earlier, you really don't listen, do you?
No, he doesn't listen. That's why
I just told him Mangone was coming on.
No, Travis told us who.
Yeah, I didn't listen. All I heard was that he did it, and that was it. I didn't need to listen to the rest of the story. It was probably long and.
So what do you do while you're not listening to the people you're on shows with? Like, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about popsicles?
No, he's surfing
your
porn. We've gone over this.
Are you remembering Thurman Thomas? Are you remembering Andre Blatch? Like, what goes on in your head when you're not paying attention to what we're saying?
The Braves and the Phillies.
All right.
And once again, second straight week, the video is up. I can see your faces when I'm talking to you. I'm not surfing the internet right now. So, okay. We're good.
I got a text from G Rising. Hang on.
Who's the other guy, by the way? Who's the other guy that's
He has initials, Holden, and you're on a show with him on Sunday morning. JSU.
JSU.
Uh-oh, we got breaking news. Can I get some music?
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Dun, dun.
I'm not sure out of what lane and alley this is up in Detroit, but G Rising, a 300 game, he said.
Wow.
Bullshit.
I got to hang out to collect the cash. How about that?
Bullshit.
I call bullshit too, but
you guys really don't believe him.
I know he's pretty good. I do know that. He's been golfing in this league forever, so I know he's pretty good for sure, but
no, telling you need pictures.
I'm sure he's going to take pictures.
Why not?
I'm sure he will.
He will?
If you had a 300 game, would you like take a picture of yourself?
Yeah, I would take a picture of the whole board up there. That's a G Rising.
Yeah.
I think
there'll be pictures.
Hold on, are you good at bowling?
I took bowling in college. Rolled a
Wait,
one.
what?
What do you mean you took it? Is it?
It was a 1 credit class. I needed a 1
Unbelievable.
credit class.
You got a credit for that?
Yeah, and they were pretty good. I bowled a 179, best I've ever bowled. Now I don't know. I don't give a shit. Bowling doesn't do it for me. If the kids want to go bowling, I'll go bowling. I went to a pumpkin patch last weekend. Uncle T.
Jesus.
Well, let me tell you something. This was a freaking ripoff. This place didn't even grow their own pumpkins. They shipped them in from like Denmark or something like that. And then they threw them out like, oh, here we go. Here's our pumpkin patch. It was lame. We did find a 4-foot bull snake. That was kind of cool.
This has got to be a topic. Throw that as a topic in that 2027 inside the studio conversation. We'll talk about that in 5 years. Holden, I've got 3 kids. 2 of them, as you know, my boys are older. My daughter's 13. I can tell you now, my wife's in the other room. I've never been to a pumpkin patch.
Have they been to a pumpkin patch?
They may perfectly might have. I'm just telling you, I've never been.
Uncle T's never even watched a show where
Big
people go to
T's never
pumpkin
been
patches.
to a pumpkin patch.
Not even on a Netflix drama does he see people go to pumpkin patches.
Spread's already figuring out Uncle T. Spread's got me figured out better than Holden. I just met Spread.
Listening to you kind of helps. I get some clues.
But see, that's the difference. You listen, Holden doesn't.
He's thinking right now.
You don't even watch Netflix, Uncle T. You don't even watch Netflix, so he doesn't know you.
My kids.
No,
do.
I did.
That's
why I said he's never even seen a pumpkin patch on TV.
No.
Like that's how non-pumpkin patch he is.
We run our shop, Holden. We don't let the ladies run us. We got both me and Big T. We take care of the ladies. They're good girls, but we don't get owned by the ladies, Holden. You can't let them just control you. You can't be going to.
I do it because I love my kids, so we just go to the pumpkin.
Now
patch.
You're going to throw the sob story on
the only
kids.
reason. It's not a sob story. It's the only reason I go. I don't go with my girlfriend.
Have the girlfriend take them.
Why? I enjoy going to the pumpkin patch with them.
Well, I mean, you might
tractors and.
I'll throw something out on Twitter and see if somebody wants to join you. A little couple
finding snakes. Going for snakes is a lot of fun. Good times. All right, it's time to get into our.
Is this the timestamp for the listeners? You want to give it to
37 minutes?
Yeah, mushroom stamp this thing right now. Right now, people. We're gonna get into this. Spread, you can talk a little bets too. Obviously, Uncle T will be doing his thing. I got a pretty strong stance on a quarterback this week, but let's take our first look at the week that is. We've got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Uncle T. These are the 2 names up there. Lamar Jackson's smashed right in between them. We got studs all over the place at quarterback. So my question to you would be, where do you start? Who would be in the pool right now? And would you go far down enough to get you some Geno Smith at 5,700?
I'm muted. For me, you're right. There's a lot of big, nice spots for the big guys up top for sure. With Allen at 8,200, that game with Mahomes is going to be interesting because I from a betting standpoint, I know this is the DFS side, but from a betting standpoint, I want to get Spread's take when it's his turn. But I really like Kansas City here in this game, and it might be the contrarian take, but I just feel like Buffalo is very good. They're probably the best team in the conference for sure, if not football. But I feel like Kansas City hasn't played necessarily their best game yet. And I know last Monday's game was a sandwich game, where they were looking ahead a little bit to Buffalo here. I'm sure this week I look for them to come out and play a really good game in that matchup. But for DFS, I like Josh Allen. He was an absolute beast last week. 8,200. I think he's the same price. Like him. Going down a little bit. Again, if you want to go with Mahomes on the other side, thinking that maybe if Buffalo gets out and get the lead, well, Mahomes will have to go in that, passing game script to get back in the game. One guy I haven't mentioned yet, and we're in week 6 here, Holden Spread, is Kyler Murray. I actually have a little bit of interest in Kyler Murray. Anytime, we can get a pretty good quarterback, a running quarterback against Seattle, who has been giving up quite a few points, I'm going to have some interest. So 7,300, I think, is very fair for Kyler Murray. The other guy up top, before I'll mention maybe one or two cheap guys, Joe Burrow. I've been on him a little bit. I know it's my team here in Cincinnati. I feel like he's got a game coming. I think if Zach Taylor caught a lot of heat after the play calling in the Baltimore loss here locally, caught a lot of heat, and people were, some of the reporters were calling for him to say, hey, is it time to maybe, give up the play calling? And he didn't. But at the same time, I look for them to come out maybe a little bit more pass first offense, because they've been, run first down, run second down, incomplete punt. They did that 4 or 5 times against Baltimore. You got to get out, get into some of these games. In New Orleans last week, they got just gashed through the air from Seattle. Metcalf had a big game. Lockett had a big game. So the Saints defense has been up and down this year, but I think the Bengals can catch them coming off a week where they struggled. I really like Joe Burrow here at $6,700. And then if I was going down a little further, Geno Smith is $5,700, but you got Jimmy G there against another team that we like to target in the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I probably won't get there. I think I'm going to spend up. But if you weren't, I do like Geno Smith down there at 5,700 against Arizona, and the other side of that game I just talked about with Murray. Or I like Jimmy G in that game against Atlanta.
Yeah. Hurts is out there. My guy's Lamar Jackson this week. He's sandwiched right in between the big guys. Allen, Hurts, then you have Murray and Mahomes. And then you look at adjusted fantasy points against quarterbacks. The Giants have really not been that good from a fantasy standpoint. And after 2 sensational weeks, he's had a couple down weeks. Buffalo and Cincinnati really hasn't done too much. He's turned the ball over. But we could see a 100-yard performance again out of Lamar Jackson on the ground. I'll be interested. If we get his prop down around 56.5, 57.5 again, we got to go right back to it as far as betting. But Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, those are my 2 guys. And just like if you have Patrick Mahomes, good luck figuring out which wide receiver you're going with. I think that's a pretty natural one with Mahomes and Kelsey. Like who can you really trust as a number 3? Valdez-Scantling. He's finished the 100th wide receiver, and he's finished the 40th wide receiver. None of those guys have been consistent, Uncle T. So it's really a 2-man game there if you're targeting Kansas City. And if Bateman was in, I don't think he's going to play again this week. If Bateman was in, I'd feel fine playing him, but it's probably going to be the Duvernay show again. I don't see the ceiling there.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'm not personally looking at Lamar, at least on this Wednesday. Again, we talk about that all the time too, is, last week, I had some different feelings. And then, when the news broke Sunday and you had the value with the Buffalo receiver with McKenzie out with our boy Tupac Shakur going in, it just completely changed my roster construction, which ended up benefiting me. So I was going on the pay up for receivers, pay down for running backs last week. I ended up getting on a completely different build on Sunday due to that value. So that clearly, as everybody knows that watches these shows, can clearly happen on a Sunday where you completely change your roster build.
Fred, what do you got here for a quarterback this week? Anybody stands out to you?
Yeah, first of all, let me just tell Uncle T, I completely agree. I'm on the Kansas City side as well. I'm surprised that this would be like, 5, 6 on a neutral. Buffalo's better. We ran the numbers today, but I'm still going to go over them with Tyler and fine tune them a bit. I only had Buffalo 2.7 points better. And I also think might be a little high because just Buffalo, they were just running them up. Like when you win 38-3, when you beat Tennessee the way you did, it's just going to skew the way that I do it, which is a lot of point differential things of that nature are going into my numbers. So I completely agree with you. And I think you pretty much hit everything I wanted to say about the QBs. Let me talk about the ones you didn't talk about. I don't think you could take Brady off the list. I just don't. Pittsburgh has not played well. They're still missing TJ Watt. Secondary hasn't been good. Maybe we get a little bit of showdown here. The only disappointment in taking Brady is I guess you don't get fantasy points for BS roughing the passer calls. So a little bit of disappointment there for Brady. Matt Stafford is someone at the same price as Brady who I have no interest in. No interest in there as well. Rodgers at 6,100. Same thing. I mean, it's like, okay, if you want to play him, you can play him. Same deal, though. I think I'd almost be, and you guys are going to hate this one, right? We're going to have to back quarterbacks that we don't really like, right? Kyler Murray, and I'm going to do it here. Kirk Cousins. And I was looking through some PFF stuff, and they were talking about how he does the best against man coverage. and Miami plays a ton of man coverage, could be a big game. Of course, will heat be an issue down there in Miami? Will Miami finally get back? But boy, if you want to get completely different with your build, say you're going chalky at running back, chalky at wide receiver, I wouldn't ignore Kirk Cousins. So those are the ones I want to throw in there.
Okay. As long as he's playing at 1 o'clock, you can play him. Any other time zone, don't do it. 1 o'clock.
It is 1 o'clock though, right?
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Yeah. It's in Miami, but
don't play him in any other time zone.
Got you.
It's not going to work out for you. Well, actually, it's 12 o'clock his time anyways. Let's continue this conversation, Uncle T. It'll be interesting build this week. You know, where are we spending up? I can see a 2 tight end build with Andrews and Kelsey this week, but Nick Chubb, unstoppable. McCaffrey will get the volume against the Rams. So McCaffrey 8-3 on DK, Chubb 8-2. Saquon, he's a little nicked up last week, 7,700. I'm not so sure Jonathan Taylor plays this week. He's not on the field right now. It's entirely possible that he does. Doesn't look like it. Talk to me here. I like the middle tier more. I think it's going to be popular, though. Guys like Ramondre and Kenneth Walker at 5,400. You'll get a lot of those guys, and I think that's going to be a popular route this week.
Yeah, first look, I definitely agree with you, Holden. I do like that kind of middle, lower 6 and below, mid to lower 6K and below. But if we're talking going up, you mentioned 2 guys. Nick Chubb, looking at his numbers earlier today, wow. He's he's been nothing short of just fantastic. Literally every game, I think he's tied for the lead in touchdowns with 7, or maybe might have a solo lead. I don't know. But yeah, he doesn't have the best matchup. New England does a pretty good job against the run, but still, he's been really good this year. So I don't have any problems there. If Jonathan Taylor does get ruled in, though, he does have a smash spot here. And you're looking at the price tag here at only 8K for Jonathan Taylor. So again, if maybe that news doesn't come out till late and later it gets, maybe people shy away from it. But if he does play, I do think he's a good spend up if you want to go up there. Because again, 8K feels a little bit too cheap for Taylor. But going down the board a little bit, I initially had some interest in Aaron Jones because I feel like, I know he hasn't gotten the carries inside the 5. They haven't had many possessions inside the 5, as crazy as that sounds for Green Bay. The offense has been really struggling. And what few, opportunities they've had, they've given them to A.J. Dillon inside the 5. But 7,600 is still pretty cheap. We've seen Aaron Jones before have these 2-3 touchdown games. He's done them more in prime time because I remember from a Showdown perspective, he usually has a couple games a year where he crushes on the Showdown slate. So don't mind him a little bit. But again, going down in that mid-tier guy, a couple guys that I like, Jeff Wilson, 6,200 is way too cheap for the volume. Me and BigT watched that whole game, that San Francisco game last week, and it didn't feel like he got the carries, but he really wasn't involved as much as we thought he should have been. Tevin Campbell came in and did get a handful of carries, probably more than I would have liked since I rostered Wilson, and he still crushed. He didn't get, I don't know if he got in the end zone or not. I can't recall, but he still put up a pretty good game, and I don't know that they really utilized him even as much as they could. So I do like Jeff Wilson there. And then you mentioned Stevenson. He's going to be, I would think, fairly popular with really no one else for the Patriots to go to out of the backfield. Stevenson, I do think, will be pretty popular. But going one guy above there, Connor, if he's ruled out, you got to consider Benjamin, 4,600. We actually played him in the late 3-game afternoon slate last week. We played Benjamin. And it ended up working out with Connor getting hurt. And we had a Benjamin at like less than 1% ownership. So I do think if Connor is ruled out, Benjamin will definitely get some traction. By
the way, real quick, Uncle T, there are other slate cores in there. I think people might miss that. So it's not just the main slate cores. And a lot more of us are just starting to play split slates. Like I have a lot less full slate things. A lot of us, I know JJ does the same thing. I think even more extreme than I am. But Uncle T, why don't you talk about that here for a second? If you are a subscriber or not a subscriber, because we got cores to other slates.
Yeah, again, and Holden, that's a decent segue. I'll quickly, hit on, my early slate only team I had last week that was literally sitting there with 2 games left. I had actually Wentz and McLaurin in that early only slate on Sunday, sitting in second in the $33 and 8th in the main $12. and just needed, one T-Mac, catch from Wentz there. And I think I might ship both. The only game going on was the Seattle New Orleans game. So it didn't work out for me, but yeah, we've got the early slate cores up on the site, as well as the afternoon slate. And then we've got a prime time slate as well, where you got Sunday night, Monday night. So yeah, to your point, Holden, if you don't want to do just the main slate on Sunday, we've got plenty of options covered for you on the site.
Yep, no question. RunPureSports.com. Whole team is on a roll right now. We got Millie Makers. We got guys shipping $100,000 a week. We got Uncle T shipping 5 figures, PumaCom 5 figures. Everybody seems to be making some money here, including myself here in NFL season. Real quick spread on running back. Any thoughts there that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Uncle T hit a great one. Let me talk about someone. Did you talk about Saquon? I mean, I see him having a good game. If that Baltimore defense gets tired out like it has, he's just been looking fantastic. So, of course, at 7,700, you have to consider him. Fournette kind of fits in with my Brady idea that, boy, Pittsburgh's not good. And if you don't want to play Brady because there's so many better quarterback options, right? Fournette might be the safer play here because the game script, they get ahead. Fournette gets the carries. Brady doesn't throw his arm off. They get out of there as quick as possible. That's probably the better if you have to choose of them. But, of course, it's going to be the much chalkier way to build. So you have to consider that. Breece Hall, there's no way you can ignore him. Green Bay hasn't been good against the run, and they continue to up his usage. And then we look at another young player who they come out, and Doug Peterson said he wants to up his usage and started to look like that way in the last game. And maybe the passing of the torch from the veteran James Robinson to Etienne here at 5K. I think you have to consider him just off the press clippings and the idea that, hey, this Jaguars team, they got out good, kumbaya, everything was wonderful. Now it's their first bit of adversity that they're facing under this new coaching staff. He's going to make a couple adjustments. What better adjustment to get a more dynamic playmaker involved instead of the solid veteran? Get this team going, go for some more explosive plays, and beat your nemesis, the Colts, that you seem to beat. So those are the ones that I wanted to touch on that Uncle T left out.
I just thought of something here. Hit the like button, you get a shot. None of you are watching live, but it'd be really nice. Just boop, takes you about 2/10 of a second. Subscribe to our YouTube channel too. It's getting gigantic. Well over 12,000 followers now. Bottom right-hand corner, little red button, subscribe. You get notifications when all of our shows come out. Spread, myself, and Mangone on Wednesday. We tape the Pick and Winner show. Detailed breakdown of that Bills-Chiefs game, by the way. Speaking of the Bills-Chiefs, what do you think of Stephon Diggs and some of these receivers on the Buffalo side on DraftKings, Uncle T? Diggs is 8-4. We'll see if McKenzie's out with the concussion again. If he is, Tupac Shakur is going to be back in there as well. Gabe Davis. What about the Josh Allen passing options? And I feel like you and I are on the same page on Mahomes. It's Kelsey, and good luck.
Yeah, Holden, real quick, let me mention one other running back just because
Sure.
I did want to get it out there. It's not like Raheem Mostert at 5,700. We have seen, I've been on him since week 2. I didn't play in week 1. I've been on this guy, and his usage, you talk about usage spread, he has literally basically taken over the backfield. I think he had 4 carries by Gaskin and 1 or 2 by Chase Edmonds. So I think he's completely taken over that backfield, and we really haven't seen a ceiling game from Mostert yet. He hasn't gotten out in space to where he breaks a 40, 50, 60-yard run. So I do think he is still too cheap. He is listed as questionable, as maybe banged up right now. But if he plays, I do think I don't have any problem going back to Mostert this week. So I did want to mention that. But as far as the receivers here, holding up top, I mean, Justin Jefferson, 8,900 in that Miami game, which, what's the total at right now? 45.5. I kind of, at least initially here, think that I'm leaning towards the over there. I feel like there's going to be some points in that game. It all depends on who's going to be quarterback in Miami as well. But I like Jefferson up there. Diggs, I wasn't on. I had the Gabe Davis, Shakur, and Allen, kind of thought last week might be a decent spot to come back to Diggs, knowing that Big Gabe and Shakur had the big games. Maybe Allen feeds Diggs a little bit more this week. I know last year in that game that was just wild. If you remember the ending of that game, there was 3 touchdowns scored in the last minute 58 or whatever it was. So I kind of like him there. Jamar Chase, we've been waiting here for him to break out, and I think it could finally be this week down in New Orleans. Again, I know it's a 1 week sample, but I watched their secondary, New Orleans, get gashed by Metcalf and Lockett. And you got to imagine if Zach Taylor opens up this offense a little bit, you can't imagine that, I can't imagine that he wouldn't have a good game, Chase. They've got to start throwing the ball down the field to Jamar Chase. So I like him quite a bit there. Mike Evans in that matchup against Pittsburgh, Spread, you mentioned it, and correctly so. If they get out to a lead, I do think it could be a Fournette and a Tampa Bay defense type of a game. But if they don't, and Pittsburgh's able to at least hang with them, or at least be within a score or two, I think Mike Evans could be in a nice spot there in that matchup in Pittsburgh. And let me go down and mention one or two more. Who did I have here?
We're going to Shakir again. Yes, we are going to Shakir again if McKenzie's out.
Yeah, and if you don't, and then Deebo Samuel is obviously a really good play as well. You can play these guys up at the top. It's not breaking news. Any of these guys up at the top, they're so good. You can jam in 2 or 3 of these guys. I didn't even mention Cooper Kupp yet, right? You can play Kupp every week for sure. He is a little bit banged up, got banged up in the last, I think, possession or 2 of that game last week. But Ayuk could be maybe 5,400. He might be a little bit more involved this week in that matchup against Atlanta.
As a pivot for me at that price range is Jacoby Myers at 5,300. I don't want to play guys from New England and Cleveland in the passing game, but he just gets peppered with targets. And last week, even with Zappe, he ended up with 27 DK points. I don't expect that out of him. Yeah. But if he can get me 15 and probably 18 points at 5,300, I think Jacoby Myers is going to be low owned.
Yeah, I like the Jacoby Myers call there quite a bit. And one other thing to mention, I'll let Sprague get in because I know I take up all the players that give him anybody to talk about. But if Higgins does sit for Cincinnati, I do think Tyler Boyd, even though he hasn't been utilized hardly at all, it's been Chase, and then last week against Baltimore, Hayden Hurst was involved much more as from a route, as far as from a target standpoint. But Tyler Boyd, 5,100. Feels really cheap if T. Higgins is ruled out.
Spread, what are your thoughts at wide receiver this week, buddy?
First of all, Uncle T, you can go right ahead because I don't mind you giving the full breakdown, and then I'll just highlight what I want to go for. It works for me great, so don't feel bad at all. For me, to me, this is when you ask why was I talking about bummy running backs? Why am I considering playing Kirk Cousins? It's because I want to spend up at wide receiver. And you talked about the Run Pure course, and this is where it's so great to be a member, right? Because all I want to do, especially if I do let's do multiple lineups, right? I want to get different combinations of these top 6 guys. I don't think you can make a good argument against any of them. And that's where I'm going to use, these guys that are finding all these values that are going to allow me to spend up for these guys. Cooper Kupp, Carolina, you're going to get that new coach bump, but this team needs to turn it around. What a great matchup. I mentioned earlier about liking Cousins because, Jefferson's going to destroy man coverage, even if it is Xavier Howard or some of the best cornerbacks that Miami have. Stephon Diggs, they're playing KC. That game could have 70 points. Enough said. Jamar Chase, you have to like him here, especially getting the extra attention. And what better team? And it used to not be like this. But with all the problems going on in New Orleans, and this is where complementary football comes into play, when your offense can't get first downs and your defense is on the field 34, 35 minutes and not just 30, doesn't seem like a big deal. It's a big deal, and that New Orleans defense is suffering. Deebo Samuel, same deal. We already talked about targeting Atlanta. He could have a huge game. And then Tyreek Hill, once again, that could be a shootout there, Miami, Minnesota. I want to use all the knowledge and the great stuff that I get being part of Run Pure, and then just make different lineups where I'm using these studs. This is where I want to spend up. All
right. Let's move on to tight end, and then we'll wrap this puppy up. Again, Kelsey Andrews, the elite options. I don't think you can forget about anybody that's facing Seattle. So obviously, Ertz has got to be up there. Even Kittle's starting to get peppered with a few more targets. Atlanta could be gashed there. That's the high ones. David Njoku is officially broken out, hasn't he, guys? Like at this point, 10, 7, 6 targets, 24, 10.7, 15 PPR points. I mean, the guy's in the mix every week. So where do you want to go here? Kate Otten too, Uncle T. Kate Otten. I think Brait's going to be back this week, but I also would not be shocked if over the next few weeks we realize that he's the number one pass catching tight end. I just don't know how consistent it's going to be. Anyways, tight end, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, you got two studs up there, right? 7,800 for Kelsey. Again, it feels steep, right, for a tight end. I mean, you put him, you throw that in with the, he'd be fourth on the list as far as if he was over on the wide receiver side. And, he's definitely worth it in a game that we think is going to have a lot of points. 54, I think, is the current total in that game. So, if you're going to stack that game up, I can't imagine not having Kelsey in there. So I don't have a problem at all with him. Mark Andrews.
How chalky do you think that game stack will be, though?
Well, I think
you worried about that?
Yeah, and I think it will for sure, and I think spread too. And again, I want to keep always saying it, but we got other shows throughout this week and leading into Sunday where things could change. But you want to talk about a different build right away is if you have the stack and don't include Kelsey. So right away, no matter whether you're heavy on Buffalo or Kansas City, if you somehow don't include Kelsey, which I'm not saying that's the right or wrong thing to do, but if you have a stack in this game, a 3-2 or however you want to do it, if you don't include Kelsey and somehow he, gets 10 fantasy points and doesn't kill you and you match the other guys up, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. So that's what I'll say about that. But Mark Andrews, I think I might pass on him this week, Holden. I think some of these Giants games, I know the game last week in London, they were down big at halftime, ended up coming back. It feels like these Giants games have played a little bit slower. And I think the Giants will try to, like what Spread mentioned earlier with Barkley, is maybe grind the clock a little bit more, have some longer drives. I don't know that there's going to be this total is 45, and I kind of like the under a little bit in this game. I feel like it's going to play a little bit slower. So for that reason, I think I might be avoiding Andrews. But in going down, the two guys I really like are the guys at 5,100 and 49. I like George Kittle. I know he had a great first drive last week and then kind of fizzled. I think he had 4 catches for maybe 50 yards on that opening drive and then didn't do anything after that. If he can't, get it going in a matchup against Atlanta indoors, it might be time to get off of Kittle. But I do like him at 5,100, and Zach Ertz has been a target machine for Kyler Murray and Seattle. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to look to stack and play against them all year long. 4,900 feels pretty cheap. And then if I'm going down, into the cheap range at tight end, I'll mention one guy. Hasn't been great so far this year, but he's got a decent matchup and good price, 3,200. You got Big Irv Smith in that matchup against the Dolphins in Miami, where, again, I think that game will be I like the over in that game. So Big Irv Smith, 3,200 would be my value guy.
You got tight end Spread. 1 or 2 guys stand out to you?
Yeah, so because of what I talked about earlier, I think at wide receiver and running back, there's people in this price range I'd rather have than Kelsey than Andrews. So I'm going to try and go the cheaper route. Njoku has to stand out here. You talked about Cade Otton. I mean, he only 2,900. Maybe Gesicki comes back, but a guy that I played last week that I want to go back to here is Daniel Bellinger. We talked about the lack of targets there for the Giants. And at 3,200, I don't need much from him to get things done. And as they continue to try and grow as an offense without basically high-profile wide receivers that we know, I think he's going to continue to be featured more and more. They like him. He had the fun little touchdown last week where he ran it in. So I'd rather try and find some of these guys. And, hey, Uncle T's already said it a bunch of times. Maybe on Sunday, a guy like Hoop or Big T says, hey, this is a great tight end value, and I pivot off. But right now, I don't want to spend a lot for the tight ends. I think especially at wide receiver and at running back, you can get better in that 7K range than Andrews and Kelsey. And if they beat you, they beat you. But I think that's a fun way to get different. I mean, you're going to tell me that Sean McDermott's not going to watch that tape and say, hey, we can't let this happen, right? Almost every other defensive coordinator in football hasn't let that happen, as good as Travis Kelce is, right? So if it wasn't for the Broncos being so bad, we could continue to harp on what a disappointment and disgrace that the Raiders are. But Holden just keeps stealing my thunder there with this Broncos ineptitude there. But no, I'm fine on not spending a lot here.
All right, gentleman. We've got a great Great. We're not doing defense tonight. Screw defense. I'm so done with defense. We'll figure it out. It's very important to hit the right defense, but we'll figure it out as the week goes on. We'll get these injury reports out. I got the cash show coming up on Friday. I think there's something tomorrow I'm doing. I don't remember. So cash show on Friday. And then, our player prop show, me and JJ will go back at it. Finally, turned a profit last week. So that was kind of nice, but that is at an hour before kickoff. So what is that? 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern, me and JJ, we're going to do a player prop show. When are you on next year, Uncle T?
Yeah, when we get off here, guys, I'm going to be building my golf teams. We haven't finished golf yet, Holden. We grind golf. Actually, we had a decent sweat on Sunday last week in golf. Finished pretty well, made some money. But yeah, I'll be putting up. We've got our cores and tiers up on the site. The golf team does, and I'll be building my teams there. And then the rest of the week, we'll be grinding all of these either 2-game or 4-game baseball. We'll have the main slate up for cores and the playbook. And also if it's any contest that's, I think 20K or above for first, we're going to do a showdown, playbook for every one of those games. And myself, along with Stevie and, all the guys, we're going to be putting them in, and got a lot of stuff going on here.
Looking forward to it. What do you got spread on the bet side, buddy?
All right. Our next appearance will be, we moved Talking Touchdowns on Friday to 1 p.m. Eastern. So Tyler, Kurt, and I will be on at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fridays from now on. And we'll be going over these same games, but from a very heavy betting perspective. But of course, Kurt, who just is really good at a lot of these sports. I love the way he approaches this stuff. He's going to also throw in which games he likes to stack, which games he likes to avoid. And, he probably won't talk about all the high price guys, but maybe give you some sleepers there to pick up on. So we always enjoy that. And then I'd like to take everyone who's watching this on tape delay, right, Holden? This is tape delay. Are you listening? All right.
And VHS.
Great. Well, I want you guys to know in the comments, do you guys like the sober version of Holden that showed up tonight? Because we're an hour in, his eyes are still white. It's a much better performance than every other time I've been on the show. What do you think, Uncle T? Do you like this?
No, I prefer the other
version of Holden.
I don't really care for either one of the versions of him, but if I had to choose, this is fine. But we know he's got the lady coming over.
Yeah,
after the show
see,
here,
date night
so
Holden,
me and Spread are trying to maybe keep it another 5 or 10 minutes, and Holden's like, I gotta get out of here. The lady's coming over, and he's thinking about how he's going to get some action and such. And look, look at
Date night Holden is really sober with it. Great promos. I mean, just a true professional. So we'll see which version we get next week.
At all. I'm not.
Like a C- show for you this week, Holden. Not bad.
Eat it, Uncle T. Simon, get us out of here.